graduates, family and friends of the graduates, media representatives, good morning. It is indeed a tremendous honor and an awesome privilege to present this address, and I am humbled to be afforded the opportunity. I acknowledge that this award is possible because he who made the promise is faithful, Hebrews 10:23. And for this reason, I dedicate this honor to the glory of God. To date, my UWI journey has been one of the most rigorous experiences of my life. Please consider this statement in light of the fact that I am the biological mother of triplets who was 6 years old when this journey began. I had no intention at the time to pursue a degree. However, someone believed in me enough to persuade me to apply for a scholarship that was being offered under the Education Enhancement Project to pursue online studies that would ultimately lead to a Bachelor of Education in secondary mathematics. And since many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's that prevails, almost 5 years ago, I began a 4-year online journey with the UWI Open Campus, leading to a Bachelor of Education in secondary mathematics. During this journey, I believe I experienced the whole gamut of emotions known to man. At times, I experienced opposite emotions simultaneously. So there were times I cried and I could not tell whether I was crying in pain or joy. And I am sure there were times it was both. As I look back on this journey, I remember the many times I gazed upon the controls of my life and I wanted to press quit, but I hit continue. Success is not an easy road, but it's one worth taking. In order to succeed, we need to have the determination and tenacity of a weed. John Mason, in his book entitled Let Go of Whatever Holds You Back, elaborates on the benefit of persistence. According to Mason, most of us take hold of opportunity, but we let go of it too soon. The lowest ebb is the turn of the tide, and we uncover opportunities by applying persistence to possibilities. Therefore, all great achievements require time and tenacity. A diamond is a lump of coal that stuck to its job and made good under pressure. One of the many lessons that I learned during my tenure at UWI is to not live within my means. I know this sounds contrary to what we have been taught, but allow me to explain, piggybacking on the eloquence of Mason. By all means, we should spend within our means, but we should not live there. When it comes to how we live, we should stretch boundaries, burst through ceilings, create new paths, and blaze our own trails. This requires that we challenge ourselves and dare to go further than we've ever gone before. Accordingly, we should talk with people who are smarter than us. Listen to those more spiritual than us. Ask questions of those more successful than us. And lend a hand to those less fortunate than us. Whatever we do, we should not stay where we are. So don't wear the shoe that fits, because there'll be no new room for growth. It would be better to venture into the unknown, trusting God to guide us. For whom God calls, he equips, and whom he equips, he anoints. Another of the many lessons that I learned was how God uses us to bless each other. And as I look back, I remember the days and the nights when I lived in front of the computer screen, but my family life continued remarkably well. Therefore, it would be remiss of me to not mention the sterling efforts and contributions of my husband, Julian, in manning the fort single-handedly when it became necessary. There must have been times when he too wanted to press quit, but he hit continue. And for this, I will always be in his debt. Everyone hears my name and sees my face. But Julian, this is your success story too. I am sure many of you share similar sentiments for your friends and families, because experiences like this make it clear that no man is an island, for indeed, no man stands alone. For that reason, allow me to put our achievements in context by touching upon the fact that even as we celebrate our ascent into another echelon in society, that society is descending into moral decay. Drug and alcohol abuse seem to be the order of the day. Indecency, child sexual abuse, prostitution, and pornography have become so rampant that they no longer affect us as they should. Children are growing up without proper guidance, and many of us are too concerned with the latest device to realize that we are on a collision course with a disaster. How we rise from this malignancy is not esoteric by any means. We need to harness the power of our collective resources, put our hands to the wheel, and become people of action. We should deliberate on what type of society we endeavor to build and what legacy we hope to leave behind. I hope that we seek a society in which every human soul can be polished to perfection and soar to its highest potential. May the words of Edward Everett Hale forever resonate in our hearts. I am only one, but I am one. I can't do everything, but I can do something. The something I ought to do, I can do. And by the grace of God, I will. I often remember a poem by Linda Ellis that speaks to life and how we live it. It's aptly entitled The Dash. Here is The Dash by Linda Ellis. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger, and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect, and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spend your dash? I hereby make an urgent appeal to all of us that while we continue to blaze our trails, we never forget our responsibility to guide others to find their own paths. Not forgetting that, as Sir Isaac Newton said, if today we see a bit further, it's because we are standing on the shoulders of giants. Dr. Benjamin E. Mays in 1976, as he addressed a gathering under similar circumstances, said, education should glorify God and serve humanity. Specifically speaking, he says, education should be sought for the enrichment of life, for the sheer enjoyment of knowing how to distinguish between truth and error, good and evil, and between that which is first rate and that which is second rate. For it is better to be able to count and read than to not be able to count and read. And it is better to be literate than to be illiterate, even if one does nothing with his literacy. An educated man, a trained race, or a literate nation is much better qualified to defend itself against the strong and unscrupulous than one which is not. In reality, the ignorant man starts out handicapped when confronted with the man who knows. Therefore, education is precious. Fellow graduates, we've received something incredibly precious. So as we move on, let us not forget to inform others of the great treasures that can be found at the University of the West Indies, or UWI as it's popularly known, specifically the UWI Open Campus. The UWI Open Campus makes it possible for people like me and many of you, people with families, to advance ourselves educationally and professionally without ever leaving home. Studying in our home country through this institution eliminates the additional costs normally incurred when one has to travel elsewhere to pursue further studies. Doors of opportunities to become self-actualized open, and new cohorts of professionals are constantly created to fortify the region and, by extension, the world. Networks are created, and we become more integrated as professionals in our respective fields throughout the region. Furthermore, the programs at UWI Open Campus also demand our continuous use of technology, which forces us to become current, au courant, as we say in local parlance, with the tools that are available to us. Thus, we become more prepared for the global village and better equipped to advance through it. This is not something to be taken lightly. I could go on forever, but I'll end here with a quote from an unknown author. I have modified it so that it speaks to the first person plural. This is the beginning of a new day. God has given us this day to use as we will. We can waste it or use it for good. What we do today is important because we are exchanging a day for it. When tomorrow comes, this day will be gone forever, leaving in its place something that we have traded for it. I'd want it to be gain, not loss. Good, not evil. Success, not failure. In order that we shall not regret the price we paid for it. Thank you, one and all. To God be the glory. Great things he has done.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I think we should give a standing ovation.